And today's Christmas spot, we're having a look at the McFarlane Toys SPAWN the Classic Covers Series 24. We're having a look at Christmas Spawn. That's not technically his name, but it is Spawn wearing a Santa's hat. And of course, if any time could be had to review this figure, certainly it would be during a Christmas spot. Now Spawn does come with a little bag of toys, as well as a little cute Santa's hat. On the bottom, you'll see, or actually, I think even on the back, no, yes, on the back. On the side, though, as well, depicted from the cover of Spawn. There's what the actual image of Spawn looked like, with his little Santa hat on. And on the back, what the actual toy looks like. This is actually taken from Spawn issue 39. Down below, our 24th series of Spawn action figures takes a much more traditional route and focuses on interpreting various comic book covers from the rich gallery of Spawn comic artwork. Some of the other figures that you can get from the classic covers, we got Spawn issue 109, we got issue 98, we have a Collectors Club exclusive, issue 143, issue 88, issue 23, and issue 64. I certainly can't wait. I really should have done this last year, but it worked itself out that I didn't, so I get to review it this year for everybody. So what I am going to do is certainly take a magical break. I'm going to get this opened up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at Spawn the Classic Comic Covers Series 24, Spawn with a Santa hat. Don't go anywhere. More magic is to come. Stay tuned. Now generally, when most collectors pick up a McFarlane Toys figure, they tend to expect that that figure is going to be pretty much a non-articulated statue. Unfortunately, with the Spawn classic covers, the classic cover figures pretty much are statues with only a few points of articulation on the actual figure. Now I've got the figure as depicted from the actual cover, as closely as Spot could reenact it, as you can see right here. And on a detail level, the figure is gorgeous. It is really, really nice. We'll look at obviously individual aspects of the figure right now. For starters, the hat obviously will fall off. It tends to do that a lot. I'm just going to take the Spawn figure, the actual character of Spawn, I'm just going to put that to the side. Let's first have a look at the actual base. The base is really nice. You got yourself a snowy kind of dirt mound, and then we've got the actual bag of toys on the side of the actual display base. There's not really a lot going on. The base itself is pretty generic, but certainly where the base is very generic, the paint definitely makes up for it. And the paint on the actual sack is really, really nice. I like that quite a bit. Now, no, there's the underside there as well. Now, there are two peg holes. There's a peg hole here. There's also a peg hole on the side, and then there's also two notches. We'll get into that in a second, but as a whole, I like the base quite a bit. Very basic, but I think it works really, really well. Putting that down, as well, let's have a look at Spawn himself. Now, this is an older figure. This figure is, what are we looking at for year? 2003. Spot just looked down. 2003 for this figure. So that would take us, what, 9 years, this figure. Almost 10 years. Almost 10 years. And I think for the most part, the figure looks really, really good. Now, again, Spot has to use the fact that it's not really so much a figure as it is just a sculpted statue. What you see is pretty much what it does. It doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot. However, the details are all certainly there. Let's first have a look at Spawn's face, which really looks decent. It looks like it was pulled right out of the comic. You see the sculpt on his face. You got the stitches going up the front of his face as well. It's nice green eyes. And it looks really, really good. You got, of course, the skulls on his collar that will hold the chain. There's a real metal chain going on there. Real metal chain coming out from his belt. And then it comes out to these pieces right here. Now you'll see that the bottom pieces are rectangular. They're just like rectangular pegs. Remember those rectangular holes? Right, there's one. Those rectangular pegs will actually peg right into that, and we'll do that in a second as well. But much like the statue, or much like the display stand, the actual figure is painted really, really nice. Even if he doesn't really do anything, he still does it really, really well with this solid paint job. In the way of his articulation, the Spawn's head does rotate, not much though, but rotates back and forth. His arms rotate at the bicep. His hand slightly rotates. Now you can't rotate it too much, only because this nice studded spiked gauntlet kind of gets in the way there. His other hand rotates up at the top here as well. There looks like there's articulation in his waist, although I can't seem to really get it to move. It's extremely stiff. And then he has articulation in the thigh, and that's pretty much it. Now to be fair though, that is a fair bit of articulation, but the fact that the figure is, the statue as it were, is pre-posed, yeah, you're not really going to be able to do much with it. Aside from his display stand, his other accessory is his Santa hat. Again, some nice detail on the Santa hat. You can get to see some wrinkles there. They've kind of given a faux fur kind of texture work. The paint really brings it out too. That dark, dark paint definitely brings out this Santa hat quite a bit as well. You can put it on Spawn. You would hope that you'd be able to put it on Spawn. And kind of get it going like that. Which is pretty similar to how it was in the comic. You have to apply a little pressure. It doesn't really stay on there though. It just kind of flops all over the place. But with the Santa hat on, he looks very nice. Definitely looks very, very nice. Now where I would think the figure kind of suffers, obviously, is what Spot was already talking about earlier. He doesn't have a lot of articulation at all. He's pre-posed. I also find his cape does kind of move around a lot. I would have almost have liked if there was a way that the cape could have pegged into his back, just to kind of prevent that cape from going anywhere. As it stands now, you can kind of really take the cape completely off of the figure. For a situation like this where the figure, I think, looks better with the cape, I might be more prone just to kind of glue that cape on, and then I know it's not going to go anywhere on me. You'll see that there is a peg hole on his knee. Again, there's that peg hole on his foot as well. And what you're going to do is you're just going to line up those two pieces together. Now you're going to peg the foot into place. And if you can get in there, the knee doesn't seem to be the easiest, I find, to peg into place. You kind of have to do some finagling. But then what you can do is take the one hand. The hand will open up the bag of toys, goodies, and then you can have Spawn reaching inside to the bag. Now as for these chains that Spot was talking about earlier, the chains themselves, if I can reach in, does again have that little, see right there, that little rectangular piece. That's actually going to peg right into the display base, like so. And the way they kind of do it, you can see that there are kind of chains already in the display base, sculpted in. It kind of looks like it's continuing, which I think is really neat. This side, you don't necessarily have to worry about pegging it in because you're really not going to see it anyways, but there's that peg hole at the back there as well. Once that's all in place, and you've got your figure where you want it to, then I find the best time is to put the hat on is now. And like that, you've got yourself a really, really awesome display piece. I don't think something you would want out every day, but at Christmas time, yeah, this is the best time to get something like this out on display. Even if, sadly, his hat doesn't stay on very well at all. As you can see, right, like so. Doesn't help either that his cape falls out of place. There are pegs on the actual skulls that you can peg the cape in, but really one big peg hole on the back I think would have would have sufficed perfectly. But there you go. You have Spawn in his Santa hat. I love that. Now, if I could give this a rating, you're more or less going to display this as a statue and something that is there as a decoration, and not really something that you're going to be displaying as an action figure. It doesn't have really the bells and whistles in the way of articulation, but for a really excellent sculpt and really fantastic paintwork, I got to give Spawn here, I'm going to give him a very magical 8 right there. Now, today's Christmas spot, we're having a look at the Spawn Classic Covers. This was what Classic Cover Series 24. This was Spawn issue 39. And we had ourselves Santa, I want to keep saying Santa Spawn, but we had Spawn wearing a Santa's hat. Even if it doesn't sit on his head very well, you have to admit this is a very cool display piece. Now, there's a lot more in the way of Christmas spots heading your way this month, my friends. Rest assured. So certainly keep checking out this channel and keep checking out all those spots coming out this year. There's more. There's definitely more coming out before the end of December. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.